one thing that Kenyans don't know is how William Ruto deals with creating his movement or his people or the followers. For instance, we used to meet every week as the communications team. And we used to meet with him every week. And you remember that time he was a deputy president. And every week he would give us audience to ask him all these questions. Because remember, it was not only that. There was also the guy who died from Harambee House Annex, the security guy. So all these things were coming in the news and all these things were being revived. And one of the things that William Ruto is smart about is he would meet you and he would give you the opportunity to ask him these questions. And so, you'd say, okay, in the newspapers today, we are now dealing with this. We would like to understand what happened as your team before we start defending or supporting what. And in all fairness, we would always leave that boardroom convinced.
Inspired.
Okay. And out ready to defend because our candidate is being accused. And he would give extensive reasons believable reasons as to what is happening, why it's happening. And the difference between, at that time, working for, and I know this because I had friends who are on the other side of the campaign. The difference was that on the other side of the campaign, you would never be able to ask the candidate anything. And so it became difficult to defend the candidate. And the candidate put up a you can't criticize me kind of campaign. So you would find that we ended up, it's like, as I keep saying, it's like a cult. It's like a cult. Sometimes you come out of it and you're like, how, what was happening? So, but there was always this efforts to cover up the red flags. And the efforts seemed sincere. Because, for instance, being given audience at that time with a deputy president, the room full of critics in communications department, shooting questions as to what, what's happening. And then the candidate would answer and give. And we had come prepared, even with like facts of, this is what, and you need to look at the research on this and that. And then, as I said, he's a pretty smart conman. I am allowed to have been gullible.
So the things that we bring, the things that we bring up here, and when I think about them, I look at them now and I say, well, those should have actually been the red flags, not these other things that we are saying where maybe you feel inspired, but you feel a certain kind of way. So that, fair enough that that's been established. But let's look at these things, Gloria, that you all said you would do.
Yeah.
In detail.
Let's go into it. Yeah.
In detail.
Yeah.
And I from an objective point of view here, to say maybe there's too many things going on. Maybe there are too many balls in the air. And to then maybe go and make an additional promise over one thing over the other, it's ludicrous to me that you sort out one thing. And we did the roads yesterday from Mandera to Ramu. And I said, and then you go to Elwak, and I said, you know what? Okay, do Mandera to Ramu and finish that one. Do that one before you talk about going to the next place and everywhere else until you get to at the end of the rainbow and you find a pot of gold. Do Ethiopia. Do Mandera to Ramu. When you had those conversations, why couldn't you say hello, folks? When you say to Elwak and Mogadishu and all that, why wouldn't you just say, guys, can we do Mandera to Ramu?
One thing you have to realize is immediately, we got in. Almost immediately. I would say less than 3 months. The dust has settled. Everybody has landed where they have landed. And then you're like, okay, that was a good campaign. Very good. Congratulations, everybody, wherever you are, blah, blah, blah. Now let's get down to business. Is when many of us realize this guy has no intention. No intention. Because, we even had things that we were going to fulfill within 100 days. Yeah. And I think he only did 2. It was the judges who were supposed to have been sworn in.
Yeah.
And there was one other, which was made in the same week. I forget. But we had a whole list. We had a whole list of things, injustices that had been happening when we were on the other side, of course, in the opposition. And even when people, including pending bills, pending bills was a big thing. Pending bills was something that everywhere we went, we would pledge and say, the small business owners are suffering. They're closing shop. It was a problem from county level to national level and everything. And you just literally month 3 in, realized this guy doesn't want to do anything. Yeah, because something that did not require even a cabinet paper, it just required the goodwill, a pronunciation to the team, and he would not do it. It would not. I mean, the 2/3 gender rule, to apply it in cabinet, who can he blame for not actually having a third of cabinet? He is the appointing authority.
Yes.
You know, they kept on trying to say, oh, you know, Senator, we don't have women who are capable. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You have men in there who are literally murderers. And you're telling me we don't have women who are capable. You have appointed serious criminals, and now you're saying out of the more than 50% vote that you got out of women, you're saying there are not enough women to get. So even that, when you started reflecting already, I'm telling you, month 3, then you realize there was no intent. But I want to read for you in the manifesto so that we can laugh. This is going to be like a good joke. So you know the manifesto. It's a very good thing. I loved this thing because when we even did the photos and put it together, we're like, you know, it was so inspirational. The plan.
The plan, yeah.
The plan.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a plan. You know, we were going out saying, we have a plan. And of course, it starts with a letter from the presidential candidate. Why I am running for president. It's a very long, lengthy, sound smart kind of letter. And then I want to just draw your attention to the last paragraph, where he concludes by saying, on 9th August, you will be called to choose between 2 roads. One that leads to constitutional democracy, institutionalized politics, and opening the doors of opportunity to many. The other takes us back to imperial presidency, deeper into personalization of power, and to the inevitable, predictable end of economic apartheid that we see so often around the world. The power is in your hands. You know, guess...
Now you guys who are being told this.
That's why I said we need to laugh about this, because he literally was like, to the people of Kenya who need to give me this vote. And I actually was like, yes, yes. Guys, listen to that. You know, you have 2 roads. One that leads to constitutional democracy, institutionalized politics, and opening of doors of opportunities to many. And the other one takes us back to imperial presidency, deeper into personalization of power and the inevitable, predictable end of economic apartheid that we see so often around the world. So, when you look at that, the paradox of it is that he ended up being the evil one, the one we should have never voted for. Because everything, that last paragraph is supposed to be the thing that he stands, the summary of what you would say, the basis, the fundamental drive of the campaign. And he did the opposite. He literally, intentionally went out and watered down every single institution